Okay, folks, we hope we took care of our technical problems, but what we're talking about today is the video on the Bond Oversight Committee for Roland Unified School District, January 30, 2019. I got to apologize for not having gotten this done. I'm just a bad person, okay? Today is Oscar Day, and so we're going to have some fun getting this done. And a little prelogue on this. This was a kind of a telling uh, situation here because we're talking about Oswald, and that if they had planned on doing Oswald and there's been this $20 million and then a $30 million windfall and all of this and everything, and getting toilets for Oswald, okay, then why is it that it's done now, 2019? Because guess what? As you'll find out in this video, that it takes years to get things done for actual construction. First of all, you have to get the plans all done, the electrical and plumbing and the overall. They got in this you're going to see the artist renditions of the various things that they want to do. So how long does it take to get that done? And with all the local approval and so forth, with all the changes, they've already gone through a lot of changes, and that's what you want to do before you put a contract out to get this thing refined so you don't have a bunch of change orders, okay? And then the situation, you have to send it to the state, and the state has to go through this to make sure, hopefully, you haven't done something stupid, okay? And then, how long does that take? You have a big problem. We're not talking about one building here. We're talking about essentially a whole campus. How long is that going to take them? Like, we're the only ones that submit stuff. Hey, 6 months at the very least, okay? Possibly a year. So what are we looking at? 2 years? Maybe 3 years? And the funding and so forth is being made available. And supposedly on the other end, they're going to be looking, okay, who are the contractors? So that once things are approved, then they can submit this out there to the contractors who will take a look at it and start bidding. And again, if everything is done above board and properly, this is what we're looking at. We're not talking, this isn't going to happen overnight, but something you're going to be pleasantly surprised is you're going to see Alex Flores, assistant principal, use the word toilets more than one time. Boys and girls and staff toilets. And you know about the fandango with Oswald, and they were promised a two-story building with no toilets, and even David Malcolm, board member, hey, what about the toilets? And we're not going to go there. It'll make you cry if we start talking about toilets. And then, so they got a one-story building with no toilets. Now you have to go, and I'm going to give you some other videos to look at to get to know what is going on, to see at the board meetings that these persons from Oswald down there and ranting and telling about the problems that they've had up there. You've got to listen to this stuff. Don't listen to me. You see this stuff, just make you cry. So have your Kleenex handy. But you want to go back to September 13th of 2018. You want to go back to, and on the 29th, because sometimes they have a study session. And you can get it on the 29th, 2018, 10/11, 2018, 10/25, 2018, and 12/13, 2018, and see what's going on in these ventures. And some of these that you're going to hear about is from where the board meetings are, is William Harrison finally, after years, is coming out here and telling like it is. He's a 40-year retired teacher, for God's sake. Okay? And about transparency and Oswald and so forth. You just have to look at this stuff. And people say, oh, that's Humphreys. He's got his attitude going on. Hey, listen to these people and those two kids from Gallus laying it to the board and administration. God, it's going to make you feel so good to be an American. Okay? And so you'll start out, Alex Flores be getting involved there. And at 4 minutes and 35 seconds, you can hear, Roy, that's me. Boo, I'll be telling like it is. At 1 hour and 3, you'll see the time frame on there. You're going to see about Roland High School. But then the big chunk of it is going to be about Oswald. And you're going to see all this renditions, the artist renditions. We're a long ways off from breaking ground on anything. You know what I'm saying? Getting it up there. And you're going to hear Jay talk about bathrooms and all the time marks. And then what's really rewarding there is Jerry, one of the board members there. I've forgotten his last name, pardon me. But he said, hey, why did Oswald get all this $50,000 and all this sort of stuff? Well, there are two issues going on. One to which Alex Flores says, well, it's on the bond issue. We're supposed to be doing this sort of stuff. Don't get me going. Okay, you open up a can of worms here. Okay, but Jerry didn't follow through with his comment and say, well, why now? Why wasn't it? What bond issue is this? In 2006, so forth. 2012. Which one? You're 2012 even. We're out here. Tell me, not doing the math. 2 from 9, 7 years. Come on. And you haven't even a one-story building with no toilets in 7 years? Come on, folks, you got to get real. And if you want to sit about like a bunch of lemmings, and take that crap, then it's on you. And guess what? As soon as the district takes over recording the board sessions, I'm out of here. And guess what? You'll never see another Bond Oversight Committee video for the rest of your life. You won't have a clue what's going on. Okay? And so, Jerry, good thing you asked that, but it points also another thing, that these committee members do not know what is contained in these bond issues. Boom! What can we say? It's time. I just let you go. Hopefully, they're going to start picking up on the recording of the board. I'll be gone, and then it's up to you people. Okay? So get out here, look at these videos. You won't be having to look at me. They'll be time marked, and see what's going on in your school district. You're paying millions and millions of dollars, not just for construction, just running the schools, and you're paying the freight and taxes. Okay? Bye.
Okay. She's coming. You want to start it?
We're at the Delta Free Link School.
Okay, I think Natalie is on the road. I don't know, it'll probably take 10 minutes. So I think we maybe start it. When she arrives, she will continue the meeting. Okay, let's just start meeting 6:33. Okay, let's have a roll call. See who is here today. Julie Tackman?
Here.
Jane Chu?
Here.
Good. Dennis Jackman? Natalie, I think she's on the road. Nat getting up?
Everyone got the email.
No, I mean, but Nat sent emails that he's absent.
No.
Okay, so no, Nat's not here. Yvette, Roma?
Here.
Okay, I'm here. Okay, and the staff? Jennifer Brooks? Alice?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, yeah. Lori? Great. Rosanna? Here. Good. Marcos?
Here.
Good. Okay. Josephine? Here. Good. You can continue. I just take a roll call.
I'm here. Sorry for my tardiness.
I also want to share that we do have a senior know that we have some family visits to attend to during the meeting. we do have a quorum if you, we do have a quorum. And Tress wishes to,
Would somebody volunteer for the flag salute? Sure.
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did everybody get a chance to look over tonight's agenda? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Second? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries unanimously. We come to the public comments section of our meeting. We have one person, Mr. Roy Humphreys, that would like to address the committee. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes unless extended further or limited by vote of the committee. A maximum of 20 minutes unless extended by the committee is allocated for each subject discussed. Ordinarily, the committee members will not respond to a presentation and no action can be taken. However, the committee may give direction to the staff for following the presentation. What do you think?
Okay, thank you, and Happy New Year. And also, it must be noted that your responsibility, first of all, is to the constituents of this district. And must note, per the CDOC bylaws, members supposed to attend board meetings, which has not been the case. Also, it is duly noted for the passive-aggressive arrangement here to obstruct the people, putting the podium here behind the sign, which would obstruct a lot of people, and a lot of persons are not going to get to enjoy what's on the posted situation there, which is nothing new. This is why we calling that Denise Jackman should resign immediately, and we all know about that with her transgressions with Harry Peterson. Also, with the fake news propaganda annual meeting or annual report put up by the board or the committee chairman there should resign immediately. And as a matter of fact, this committee should be dissolved as per discussion at the Roland Heights Community Coordinating Council meeting where Senator Ling Chang's representative where it was noted that the constitutional amendment needs to be initiated by her to get rid of the Bond Oversight Committee's function, period, throughout the entire state as being a farce, a ruse, a fraud, and creator of criminals, of which this Bond Oversight Committee is no exception. A well-known Roland Heights Brahmin named John later asked me about my statement there, and I said, just go talk to Harry Peterson, which he did. Now John and others lining up to get his input are becoming believers to the situation. Also, the Gazette published a list of videos of this organization, as well as the board meetings, to give people a chance to go right to the links and see what the problems are, including Harry Peterson's swan song, and of which we know from the Brown Act meeting last year, which this board attended. The attorney was right there and said, this is a crime misdemeanor per the Brown Act and the California Penal Code. The Also was noted that Alex Flores stated at the Oswald meeting, which Harry Peterson, myself, and Grant were at, that there was $20 million in the basic construction fund. Of course, you guys know all these figures for the initial construction, and 30 million, boom, fell out of the sky for them for a total of 50 million. But at the fiscal report at the board meeting, and you can also see this on my YouTube channel, just type my name in, you'll see it all, that no, it was 30 million that they had, and 20 million fell out of the sky supposedly from bond issue. And say, why didn't that go back to the
That's fine.
taxpayers? Thank you.
Ooh, I do need to amend, it has been brought to my attention that, I do need to approve. Oh, we haven't done it yet. We're approving minutes now. Oh, okay. Yes, I do appreciate you understanding, since you want to. Just nice to check. Okay. Did everybody get a chance to review the minutes from last meeting? Ms. Jackman and Mr. Jay Chung to abstain from voting since they were not here for that meeting. Can I get a first?
Yeah.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. Can I please have the construction manager from Roland High School come up to give us an update? Thank you, guys.
No. That better? Better quality. Your stuff, yeah. How you doing? Good to see you. You guys can do this better. There you go. Couldn't get those inside there. fresh session. Gotta excuse Aubrey, if it's on an Excel sheet, it takes some time.
No, I was trying to write my few articles, so.
You got to see it, right? That's fine. This has lots of things.
Thank you. Okay, I was here a couple months ago, Russ Hall, superintendent for Willing High School project for the Desmar construction. Let me give you an update of what's going on over there. I've always inserted this slide here for reference in case anybody had questions about how the site is laid out. So for a phase 2 update, the new admin and library building is occupied, and the interior and exterior punch list items are being addressed. The exterior landscaping is ongoing at this time around the building. Temporary administration portable buildings will be demolished in a few weeks. Those are the portables that are out in the parking lot, P1 to P6 for those of you familiar with building numbers. The special education building will begin construction after the completion of those portable buildings this week. The theater and kitchen, some other offices, which include finance, records, security, and equipment rooms. There's a campus clock tower message board, which is not installed yet, but will be installed in a couple weeks. So, over the winter break, what has happened is that the administration staff has been occupied from the temporary facility in the portable buildings into the new admin building, and they are now running the campus out of this building. This is a picture of the access to the building from the south elevation, from the student parking lot and so on. So there by the two flagpoles, this would be the main entrance for the building. And over to the right there is the new NPR theater and kitchen building that's being constructed. Can't see it too well there except for the parking lot, but there's a temporary fence that separates the two. This is a photograph of the same lobby that I just described. That's the main entrance coming out the parking lot. Those are photographs too, almost the same picture. That's really big. This is a little further over from the southwest elevation. You can see we're still working on the landscape. As we move through the slides here, you'll see that the inside of the building is completely finished. This is a photograph of the lobby that was just shown in the previous slide. This will be the main entrance for the public to enter. The reception desk there on the left, and a series of computers there on the right for registration, use, and general information, all that, I believe. This is the same lobby looking back out the other way. That's the main entrance. This would be from the same lobby looking around the corridor towards the north, at the other end through the doors there would be the north end lobby, which is for the students to enter. This is a photograph of the staff workroom. We have the note buddies there. Not shown in the picture, you have another extra copier and the refrigerator and sink and stuff like this. So like basically. This is at the other end of the building at the north end. This would be the lobby for the students to enter into the library. The library is upstairs. This is right outside of that lobby that was just shown. The there's a secondary reception that's attached to the building as well. And this is a little, on the other side of that reception area is the counselor area, waiting there for the students. And then all the counselors' offices are in that area of the building. This is a picture of the big restrooms. They're finished pretty much the same way as the classroom building. Those are the students, I think we all saw those in the school. It's a brief description of the library facility. It's 15,000 square feet. It has a reading area, bookshelf area, computer lab, a couple meeting rooms, three bathrooms, fully partitioned walls, textbook storage area, which is in the back, with tactical casework. And of course, there's a library and working area, office, restroom, and storage in there. Here's some pictures of the library itself. So this would be the entrance to the library looking down and out the window to the courtyard there. This is an existing buildings. And the foreground, and even further back there, is the classroom building that we just constructed. This is looking through the library to the left side there is the book stacks, which are now being filled up with the books for the students. Center area there underneath the lights is the reading area. And then further over to the right, there are the classrooms, the three classrooms over there. This is the computer lab classroom, which is upstairs for the students. This is the second floor meeting room. There's a couple of figures that do that in the picture. So that's it on the administration building. The rest is an update for the kitchen and the yard. There's any construction right now, but maybe now would be a good time for me to answer any questions about the administration building that's occupied. Maybe I wasn't clear about some information, you might have some questions about the admin building.
So the library is fully functional or not yet?
Yeah, it is functional and ready for them, but they haven't opened it in its complete capacity. The librarian is still stocking the books. I guess it's a big project. Big pardon?
What's the schedule?
I'm not exactly sure what her schedule is to finish it, but I think she's going to be completely open in a couple of weeks. It's a long time to move all the books up there, and she's going through and sorting. Now, the art district handing the books out to distribution for the kids, pick up their textbooks, and they're loading up the retractable casework in the back for the storage.
But it's very limited, it's only for second semester classes that have new classes. But the actual back textbook room is fully stocked already.
Yeah, all the books are in
Yeah.
the library now, they're just not quite sorted out and placed out.
And there is some soft area to see at the backward and put on furniture, so that could be a little more than 2 minutes. Just getting all the books from in all the cases and everything, and make sure they're in the right order and stuff.
I noticed they are conducting classes now in the back meeting area where they have the projector. So,
The kids are in there studying too.
have a soft opening one, but the facility is completely turned over to them, so whenever they want to gear it up and put it in use, it's up to them.
I was really happy with the librarian over Christmas break, winter break 2 weeks, and she was really excited about the area now because she wants to actually do something after school for like study halls for like Killian and Killian schools that are on there. Now that she has a good space to be able to do things, it's very encouraging. It's very encouraging.
Yeah, it's nice the way it's set up with the reading area in the center and the classrooms off to the side. It's actually, I didn't take a picture of it, but it's aesthetically pleasing because when you're standing up on the second floor, you can see right through the building, which you've got class on both the east and west sides.
So the admin building is occupied, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the portables should be, they're being a soft demo right now. So in other words, we're taking all the furniture out, we're unhooking utilities, we're taking the fire alarm out, so they're not occupied anymore. And they're being turned over to the contractor this Monday to demolish or remove from the site.
So Russ, as you were coming up, two Studio C members said they want to have a meeting there. So we're gonna let you work on a good spot there
Okay.
that we could have a public meeting. So that we could have our next C2C meeting there.
That'd be good, because I think the frequency has been about every 2 months, and
Yeah.
then all the books definitely be stocked. It'll be the whole function. So they have this meeting room there, that might be a. Oh, they have it out in the meeting. This meeting room here, Alex, what do you say?
Well, whatever you suggest, we can move this to.
The projector, right? The projector. Yeah.
That would be good.
No, we can move the site plan to do that.
It's important to note that the timeline of the establishment is for this building to be up and going by the first day of second semester for the school. So again, the work of the Desmond Meyer and the contractor, and really the whole of Desmond Meyer accountable is making sure they meet the timeline. And again, second milestone has been hit, you know, and on time and on budget. And we appreciate that.
Any last minute change orders for the administration building?
No, I can't think of any. I know there's been some expenses for furniture, but that was not included in the contract agreement as well. We had to do a little extra data on the building, but that's just small stuff, adding 2 boards instead of 1 here and there. So.
They could have done with the request for a bathroom up there, we had that priced out of close to $250,000 to do it. So, that was sideline.
So moving on to the building that's next door, which is I call it the kitchen NPR building, and it also was, has the theater involved in it there. And it has some classrooms, one for choral, one for band. These stats here just include the west side of it, which is the kitchen and the NPR room itself. The building is 44,000 square feet, but these 2 areas count for 13,000 square feet. Of course, and there is a kitchen prep area, 3 interior speed lines for the students. There's 6 exterior pass-through windows for point of sale for food, walk-in freezer and cooler boxes, kitchen staff office, counter closet, interior staff lounge, dining area. There's also an exterior staff dining patio as well. Student multi-purpose dining area and lobby, 2 multi-purpose storage rooms in there, and there's a staff and student restrooms. The staff restrooms are located within the kitchen area, and the student restrooms are out in the environment. This is a look at the outside of that building. The administration building would be to the left off of this slide, makes that the southwest corner. And this would be on the flip side of that. This is the kitchen north entrance. Right there. So here's the point of sale window for the kids to get their food. This is where the kids would enter and go through the speed lines. And this would be the entrance to the NPR room over here. And this is the lobby to the theater. There's a ticket window here for ticket sales, and then the theater seating area with the floral classroom and classroom on the other side. This is just another view of what I just explained. This is the dark section. Again, that's where that's the window you can open. This is the current status of the NPR room itself. There's a lobby entrance over at this end. Right behind that is the admin building looking out that way. These are the 2 restrooms over here on this side. And then, of course, the NPR room there itself can be used for rainy day lunches. It can be used for testing. It can be used for public meetings. Obviously, multi-purpose. Surprise there. This is the kitchen interior. This back wall here will house some of the equipment, the stoves, and ovens and whatnot. These are some stats to describe the Performing Arts Theater section itself, 50,000 square feet, 615 seats inside the theater. The theater stage with curtains, scenes, rigging, main lobby, restroom, ticket booth, lobby concession counter. There's a scene shop in the back, props, costume, storage rooms, all in the back of the stage area itself. There are performer dressing rooms and restrooms, lighting, high control rooms. And there's a couple of level catwalk systems, there's actually a level catwalk systems. This is the current status of the theater seating area. It's kind of hard to tell here, but the edge of the stage is right here, so then it drops down a few feet right there. This seating area is right here. These are the catwalk systems, and then this would be the spotlight room. These would be your sound to audio rooms for the performances there. There will be two main aisles that come down the theater. This would be part of the living room, goes to the seating area. Yes.
Is the seating going to go up or is it just?
Yeah, no, it's kind of hard to tell there, but it is on the slant.
Look
It
on the
is a
side.
slat? Okay.
The difference in elevation is the height
Oh,
of the
okay.
stage right here. It's about 3 feet. I mean, it's probably a typical pitch or slant you would see in any given theater, just
Oh.
enough to go over the head in front of you so you have.
From that one shot, it just looked like.
Yeah,
It
just
does have
one
the side
big
shot
thing.
right there, the cement, to your left, west.
Yeah, it's kind of wedging right here.
It's higher and it goes down, so
Okay.
and it gets higher.
Okay.
So it goes from this elevation to zero back here. And then you've got your little flat runner right here, you know, holding the seats there so you can navigate this area without being on the slope of the boat. This ramp gives you an idea of the height it's getting on this way, so. Back here in the back, this would be your scene shop. So that's where they'll make, store, and wheel their stuff out as needed, you know, for the productions. This is a picture from Stairland, you look down into the lobby. This would be the restrooms on the side over here, this would be the side entrance. And there are main entrances into the seating areas here and then over here. And this is the lower rooms right here for the audio and the visual, and up top, you go up top, you have what they call the spotlight room. So basically the control rooms there. And the choir area is off to the side again, it's 7,800 square feet. There's choir room there, which I mentioned, there's 3 choir practice rooms, band room, band practice room, and an office for the instructor. Instrument storage room, which is in the middle there, and instrument storage rack system. And then 2 little storage rooms. I just took a couple pictures of these. This is the choir room. These are the practice rooms there in the back. And this would be the band room. The instructor's office is back here, and this is in the back. This is just a little aerial picture from the roof of the administration building looking down to the courtyard temporary. I think the seat finish right now is the exterior stays and the ASP building is previously been turned over months ago. This is not ours, this is the contractor's portable that he's working out of right now. That's going to be demolished here soon too. And once it's demolished, this whole area here will become courtyard turned over. There's one more planter that's going in here, another planter's going in there, and the planters will get filled with trees. We're getting new trees and landscapes off to the side. And then you'll address the kitchen off this entrance area. For upcoming work in phase 3, we're going to demo the portables P13 and P22. For those of you who are familiar with the site, they're away back at the back of the site on what would be the northeast corner. They're being used right now as temporary facility for the custodian, some special ed classes. I think there is might be, no, the councils have all moved out of there, so people are starting to move out of that area, it's becoming less and less used. Once we've got the theater building and special ed building up, we will tear down the remainder of the portable buildings on the site. Upcoming is the construction of the new special ed building, the new student parking lot, the new parking lot. We're gonna remove the temporary hideout portable building, which is there on the back basketball courts. That's the yards, up and running, ready to go. And we're gonna install the asphalt and concrete at the exterior basketball and volleyball areas. We're gonna remove the temporary kitchen portable or concrete in its place. We're gonna remove the asphalt and plant grass back behind the pool area, which is used as a drill yard. And it's back there on the ball field. We're gonna make the necessary site repairs and contract with the local mold line on the site. So in summary, as mentioned many times, this three-phase project started in June 2016 and is scheduled to complete September 2019. Phase one, which was the classroom building, was completed in August 2017. Phase two began in June 2017 and is scheduled to be complete by 2019 or 21. So that's the long date. It's gonna be a long time for that. Anyways, the project is in August of 2019. The new administration library building was completed on schedule, it was occupied and used. The theater and kitchen building is under construction. The construction of the new special ed building will begin in about a month. Phase three parking lot replacement is scheduled to be in June 2019. And it's scheduled to be complete in August of 2019, prior to start of school. Currently, the project is on time and on budget. That's it on the update. Answer any more questions from anybody? Yes.
In the theater, all of the equipment that's in it, like, is that part of the bond, or is that something?
It's construction on the part bond.
So like spotlights and the sound systems and everything are part of the bond?
That's correct. Yeah, the seats, the stage rigging, the lights, the audio. I can't think of anything that would go in that area that would be purchased afterwards. Like in the library, the furniture was purchased afterwards. In the theater, it's a complete.
So who choose the equipment?
We choose the equipment.
Yeah.
The architect makes the suggestion within certain vendors, and with the district's help, we've determined what the, like the materials for the seats and the plastic laminate for the walls, and then the equipment is suggested and provided by a consultant. So the theater consultant makes all. Oh, well, yeah, I don't think the architect does. The architect or consultant for those items.
So they hire consultants within the budget or what?
Oh, yeah.
So they do have second year, right? The consultant.
Yeah.
Because this is.
There's all kinds of
professional.
consultants on our project. I mean, we've got landscape consultants, mechanical consultants, electrical, plumbing, audio for the theater, the kitchen, same thing for the kitchen. Web is used for the kitchen consulting, and some of the specialty consultants that are brought in. And yes, that is nothing extra that the district is paying for. It's all under the architect's.
There might be at times where it depends on the contract is given with the architect of what consultant services are provided. And there's in addition that you want some services, then sometimes then we would have to pay the difference for with that special consultant. So our contract is more comprehensive when we actually have different consultants. As you can tell, the all didn't have that, and we had to come back and find our own consultant.
We have acoustical consultant,
Yeah,
commercial well.
That's the biggest thing when it comes to the theater is having an acoustical, engineer, and we have basically the name is David Long, which is the gold standard for this area for acoustic.
Any other questions?
Just a quick one, was there any water damage from the last one?
Not
Because it
water
wasn't
damage.
completely watertight.
You mean in the theater area?
In the theater and the
Oh.
area.
Yeah, in the theater area, and it is completely watertight. Now, the water ran in, but we knew it was going to, so we didn't make any improvements in the area that would have been affected by it. Now that the roof is on and it's watertight, we're hanging drywall,
I saw those deliveries come through this week.
so we don't expect to have any problems. Right now, working through the rest of the rainy season. A good milestone for us.
Just want to let you know about the equipment. There are the budgets that you see 2% is set aside, the construction cost 2% for furniture and equipment. And that's what Roseanne does and staff also to make sure they're monitoring to see that it doesn't go over it. And in this case here, they've maximized their budget for that, so if they want to purchase anything else, the school site itself will pay for additional things, additional furniture, stuff like that. But we put a cap on how much you can spend.
Thank you so much, Les.
My pleasure.
Alex, can you please introduce the architects?
Yes, this is actually I think our first meeting with, what period was it?
No, we've
Yeah,
had-
the fourth, yeah. So we've asked Jorge to come and with his team to give us an update on the Oswald project. There's a lot of work that's happened. And for some of you who may have gone to the board meeting last year, or not last year, a few months ago, then also there was a meeting at the school site for the teachers, and also there was a meeting for the parents before the PTA meeting, that they presented also about Oswald. So, and they're gonna be showing some of the animation and running through some of the concepts and designs that have been, they've done. And there's some color boards and there's different things that they're asking us to set up also for you to see. These are relatively new, people have not seen them. So you can show us those things, and I thought it'd be kind of nice to go through the process with this, because part of the process when you're going through this is they come with recommendations, some colors, and some fabric, and some designs. They make a color board, bring them, and then we have discussions to see, will this work, will this not work? Well, I ain't kill any more time for you, Walter. I ain't kill any more time for you.
Okay, well, while it's loading, good evening. I'm Demis Prieto. I'm the architect of record for the Oswald Terrace project. I have with me Jose Adrianson, our project architect, and Juan Hernandez, the project designer. Jose is going to start the presentation as soon as I get it loaded, talking about the design process. I'll take over, talk about some of the renderings that we have right after this presentation. And then finally, Juan is going to walk you through an animation of the campus as it was designed in the early stages of the design process. This is a fluid project in a sense that we've gone back and forth with the district and made some adjustments. So this is a live presentation that we just going to do the full marketing.
everybody. Thank you for the invitation. What we're going to show you here is the campus replacement for the Stanley Academy, which we have been working very hard to make sure that we comply with all the requirements and all your needs. Right, so pretty much we're going to go over the overview of the design phase. We have 7 items there. The first phase is the schematic design, and then which I will go in detail in the next slides. Then we have the design development, and after that is the construction documents. That's where we spend a lot of our time making sure that all the documents are per the requirements. Then we go to the approval agencies, which in this case is the state, the division of the state architect. And then we get it ready for bidding and the award of the contract. Once the construction starts, we go into the construction administration. We participate. The contractor does his work. The construction manager controls pretty much the contractors, and we do the construction administration to make sure that the contract process goes according to the law. And then we have the project closeout again with the state, the division of the state architect, where they require us to do that. So the next stage, okay, so the design process starts with the schematic design. Pretty much all the information is gathered from the programming, which is the school district has some requirements as part of the programming. And then also we go through field surveys to make sure that we have create a we take that information and we present it in the form of sketches or drawings, so that the district or its personnel would visualize the direction of the project and in which way are we leading the project. Then we do mass diagrams, also massy diagrams, that we're prepared to indicate building volume and the relationship to each other and within the school site.
And some of those diagrams are shown on the left side of the screen.
The next step, the next phase is the design development. Where pretty much we refine all of the schematic designs from the previous phase, and then the selected designs, the decisions that were worked out in greater detail. So pretty much we take a little more time into the decisions and which designs will comply better with the requirements, including some revisions made as requested by the district and as necessary. And then a large portion of our work is the construction documents, which involves the preparation of drawings and technical specifications, which is the work that we normally see with the drawings, and which are necessary for the contractor and first of all for the approval of the state, and then for bidding, and finally for construction. Then we go to the DSA, the Division of the State Architect, which upon approval from the district of the working drawings, the plans will be submitted to the DSA for review and approval. And sometimes that takes from 3 months to 6 months, depending on where we are in line. Bidding is pretty much once the drawings are approved by DSA, then the board gets approval. The plans and specifications will be provided for district public bidding of the project with the help of the construction managers. And finally, the construction is with the district and board approvals. The lowest responsible bidder will start the construction of the project. Alright. So this is for this project. We have a schedule where right now we are in the construction administration phase. So, and oh yes, I'm sorry, construction documents phase. Construction administration will be after that. So we will go to DSA. We're planning to go to DSA between March 1st and between November. Let me see. The DSA plan check will be between March and October. So that's the.
So let me clarify. The process is you register the project with DSA 6 weeks prior to the actual formal submit. So we're registering in March for an April submit. And that's what that shows us, an overlap in the construction documents and the submitted dates.
piece of our ground right here. Like that. All right, then we're gonna go show you some renderings, which I'll let Paul take care of.
So as I said, mentioned, there's drawings that are involved from the very early on schematic design through pretty much the end of construction document phase. Some of these renderings are between schematic and design development. This is the site plan indicating the general scope of work, which is there a listen? The middle one? Okay, so we've got the parking lot in the front of the campus is being reworked. We have kindergarten building here, new building. Basically, all the buildings on site, with the exception of the science classroom building in the back, restroom building, and an options building adjacent to the restroom building will be remaining. Everything else will be demolished, and new buildings will be constructed. Kindergarten, administration and library, the NPR building, a two-story classroom building, and another two-story classroom building. The field and all the hardscape areas will be reworked as well as circulation to the site for drop-off and pickup of students. This image is looking from the parking lot into the main entrance of the campus and the administration building right here. This is the main entrance for the lower grades, and this is the main entrance for the upper grades. This here is your NPR building, and in the background you see one of the two-story classroom buildings and the second two-story classroom.
Question?
I can see with the lovely cars. One of the concerns for this site was the car traffic and the drop-off and the pickup. Did you attend stakeholder meetings and all the meetings with
We
the
did,
city and surrounding?
and there was a
counties?
study done by traffic engineers that were incorporated into the design as well. We actually had some additional communications after the design stages where there was discussions about opening up the parking lot to allow for additional circulation exiting the site, which is incorporated in our construction document.
Yeah, and then Marcos attended, I attended, we had specific meetings with the city, with city staff, with law enforcement for the city provided also, who else was there? Public Works.
Traffic engineer was
Okay,
there as well.
and I was, our consultant was there, that was, again, consultant for this, was there for that meeting. I wasn't too sure if you were there.
I was there.
You were there,
and
okay,
Robert,
Robert. It was about a year.
Yeah.
One of the
There were
first-
several meetings, actually. I think there were 3 meetings that were held with the city and
Yeah,
different standings.
yeah.
And then the additional meetings that we have with stakeholders on site as well.
So question, so you're on the construction document stage, right?
Yes, we are. As I said, we're scheduled for the March registration of the project, and then the formal submittal in April.
And we remind them on a weekly basis.
And we do have meetings with Marcos and the construction manager that's been brought on board now. And so we have discussions, and there's also the, something I haven't talked about yet, is interim housing for the construction process, which will be also submitted concurrently with the project design. So,
And is the interim housing also going to be as a?
yes, it does.
Oh.
Different processes.
So
Yes.
That's what we call over.
This is called construct,
These are,
conceptual, right?
these are concept drawings, but they were incorporated into our design. So we call them conceptual because we make changes along the way, so they're not final product yet. But,
But at this point, it's
Both-
more like color,
yeah,
because it's pretty solid of what it's
yeah,
gonna be.
the spaces have already been all worked out, the square footages and all that. It's more of material selection, which we presented to the district already via design renderings and boards, and then actual finishes and materials were also submitted for.
And there are examples of where you can change it. One thing we also did is get soil samples done, so we see what type of soil conditions we have in certain areas, to make sure we can build in those areas also.
Yes.
So if that had a bearing, then there could be some, these conceptual designs change, because buildings could shift, it can move, the design could be a little different. So that's why it's a disclaimer saying conceptual because until everything is vetted out, it can't be
And
said.
to add to that, the geotechnical report that was prepared by an engineer was already submitted to the state for review as well. And that's a process that anywhere from between 3 to 6 months that's concurrent or before DSA, because it's one of the requirements to obtain approval from DSA is to have that report approved by the state.
I guess the color is finalized, it's brown, looks like old,
Look like a what?
old, like old building.
It's like all building, you mean?
Yeah, the color, I don't like the color. It's a vinyl color or not?
It's the color that we're working with, yes.
It looks like a blanker, you know, the blanker building, the old building. Like a blue color, I don't know.
Noted.
Huh?
It's been noted. Your,
These people, they said
no,
it's-
your comment, same.
Uh-huh.
We've noted.
So right now it's vinyl almost. huh?
This is the color scheme that we're going with, yes.
I have a question regarding, so that there was an options building that was being built.
No, one that's remaining on site.
Okay.
There are two buildings, two options building on site currently. One of them will be demolished, the second one will remain.
For example, we had in the first conceptual design, we were removing the option building.
It
But
is-
when we have our stakeholder meetings, we met with the teachers. The same day, we met with the parents at one of our meetings, that there was input that was provided saying, no, we don't want options to use our classrooms. They really need to be separate because if we're working with our kids after school or before school, or we're preparing, we really can't do that. So that's why, based upon that input that we received, they went back and said, okay, we gotta shift the building because we gotta keep this options building there. They weren't too happy about it, but that's part of the process of getting that input. You know,
Yeah,
so-
it's not shown on this rendering here, but this is the restroom building that remains, and the option building is next to it. This is a close-up view again of the administration and entrance of the lower grades. A little bit of a bird's eye view with the courtyard area between the multipurpose and the administration here and library.
What grade levels are here? What's the lower and upper grade?
K to 8, so the lower grades would be first, second, third, fourth, and then the upper grades, fifth through eighth.
Through eighth grade. I noticed there was a baseball field. Is that even necessary for?
It's not necessarily a baseball field, it's a play field. So they have currently they have a backstop in some sort of a, field area. So we're giving them that space for that.
There's an intramural program that we have here, and I think they can play softball for the girls. So that's, is it co-ed?
That's quite
Okay.
probably elementary school.
So that's why
Is this like elementary, middle school?
it's a K.
K to 8.
K through. So basically, when you're designing this, you're designing almost for 3 different age groups. I mean, usually you have your K6. The K6 is divided in half. Your K3 to your 4-6. So in this case, you have your K3, and then your primary, and then your elementary, your 4-6, and then your middle school, which is your secondary.
And so the challenge was the site being small, the requirement for square footages, and then trying to fit in between all the different play areas for the different grades. Again, that was shown on the site. This being the kindergarten play area, which we'll see later on another rendering. This, the middle grades in this area, and then the upper grades up in this area here, and the field to be used by all different types. So these are not regulation size fields, soccer fields or baseball diamond. These are much smaller because of the restraints of the site. Again, another bird's eye view of that courtyard between the NPR and the administration building. A view of the library as you're coming in from the campus side. This here leads to some of the play areas and to the existing science classroom. And, a view looking adjacent to the, the administration building. And the field to be used by all the different types. So these are not regulations size fields, to the administration building as you're looking out towards the parking lot. And on the left here, the separate playground area for the kindergarten. We've kept that isolated with ornamental fencing. And also we've internalized the playground area as opposed to having it outside facing the parking lot and the streets. So it's now within the campus. Another view of the kindergarten area. And a bird's eye view of the kindergarten building and the play area. Within the kindergarten play area. And looking towards what we call the east building, classroom building. We have two almost identical buildings with slightly different functions within the buildings. The west building has additional restrooms that serve the existing science classroom, and it has other spaces in the second floor that are not consistent with this east classroom building. This is a two-story classroom building with
Kindergarten playground all over, or is it?
no, there's concrete paving, there's landscaping, and there's the rubbish. This is walking out adjacent to the east classroom building. A view of the back side of the NPR and the lunch shelter. In this area here, we have the cafeteria, kitchen area, not cafeteria, but kitchen area serving line. They walk in one door, get their food, and then walk out the other and come out to the seat.
You may ask yourself, well, that's a lot. I mean, you don't see typically out of school that have that. It was very, from those meetings with the stakeholders, and the teachers and community, parents that have kids there. They really wanted a separate room from your NPR that was eating, then had a separate, so this way it was more of like an NPR auditorium for performance and things like that. So that's the reason why they really wanted it, and that's why the design is incorporating having it really close to the door, serving line there, and it's pretty much adjacent to it. I'm sorry, do you have a question?
What's the capacity of students?
That
For
was
the-
950 or 975, I think like my notes, we've actually lowered the capacity, and we're doing it over several years, because we're landlocked there, and we don't have enough space, we wouldn't have enough space to build all the classrooms necessary for what we currently have there.
Classrooms and field areas and play areas. So it's all a requirement from the state to have a certain percentage of areas for.
And just out of curiosity, how are the restrooms constructed? Are they gonna be like gender neutral, or is it boys and girls, or?
There's still separate boys and girls restrooms, and then you have staff, which are unisex.
Not too sure if in the library we are being gender neutral.
We have two unisex in the
It's
library.
totally unisex. In the library itself, we have two.
Two separate but unisex.
And the
We know it's very
unisex
common to have
bath-
Single
restrooms in
user.
the library.
and the unisex bathrooms are single toilets, correct?
Single users,
No.
correct, guys. So there is no chance of intermingling.
No.
I see a lot of fencing. Is the entire facility fenced in?
We have ornamental fencing in the front parking lot area, and then there will be chain link fencing in the periphery, which is what's out there now, up against the hillsides and on the downslope side as well.
Yes, and natural barriers, because you're pretty much surrounded by hillside that it goes down.
So the campus will be secure all the way around.
Very steep.
The lunch area, is that, what do they do with the grants?
It's covered.
I'm sorry.
Good. And it's also covered from the doorway leading
Yes.
to the serving line.
This is
also.
a view actually through the seating area from the kitchen area.
And the square footage under this canopy is 4 times what's up there.
And we have asked them to construct this with opportunity to strong enough for potential solar panels to be installed there in the future. Potentially.
And that concludes the rendering part of it, and then Juan will walk you through an animation of basically the same thing, but now you can get to see the spaces as you're walking through, kind of a bird's eye fly through it, and get a feel for the whole campus.
So as Juan is getting things ready, I do want to say that, I think I mentioned about, we've had meetings with the city, we've had meetings with the teachers, we had meetings with parents. We discussed with the PTA to have at least 3 meetings with the parents before, like big meetings they have, like before their back to school night, you know, open house, different things that they have, so that there's gonna be parents that are gonna be there, so that we can kind of give them updates and share. The one thing that we need to improve on is with the community, in the sense with, when we have our parents who are invited, it's really easy for us as a school district to, we call them robocalls. We call, I'm sure you guys have received them, like, you know, for messages. So if you're a student within our district, if you're a student at Oswald, you will get that robocall saying we're having a meeting before the PTA needs to discuss the plans of the construction. What we don't have access to is, we don't have access to someone who doesn't have a student there to invite them. So we're working with, we have a new position in our district, it's Marion Kim, it's a community outreach. So what we're doing is we're going to turn it over to her to help us with this, so that when we have meetings for her to work to communicate that also. And then we have a couple of residents that are going to help us with this too. But that's one area that we want to improve on, and one area that, you know, we want to be good neighbors. So we have to, you know, solidify that. So that's the one thing I wanted to share, because we always can learn from things.
Hello everyone. So hopefully this video animation is going to help us everyone to understand better the whole concept and design and feeling of the entire project, right? So it's about a 5-minute animation. So as the video starts, it starts giving an idea of an overview of the entire campus, showing the location for different places, the building for the kindergarten administration, multi-purpose east and west building, and the existing building that is going to remain on the back of the school. Here is giving a better idea of a solid idea of the main entrance for the campus, how it's going to look like, how is everything working with the traffic and people dropping off kids and all this kind of stuff, which is being secured by the fence on the main entrances.
And the kids will be walking like that, they will not be running.
They look like they were marching.
Turning at right angles, right? Military school. This is showing a location for the kindergarten area with the play area, showing toward the administration and the back of the multi-purpose building. As it's continuing, showing everything for the parking lot as well.
And there will be air conditioning units on top of that, right?
Yes.
They're not the,
Again, that's why it's the nature of the conceptual
yeah,
project.
just so you can see, just wanted to.
At this stage, it's very conceptual still, but as the project continues, it's gonna show more information later on. At this point, is going towards the multi-purpose building. What you're seeing right now is the main entrance where we have for the east building, which is in front of the kindergarten. So if you guys notice, we're trying to beautify the spaces with the landscaping and the material that is being used in the buildings on the ground as well.
I noticed there's a lot of trees. The older those trees get, it's going to break up the cement.
The selection of trees that we're using within the campus are not the large size those trees. are medium, small sizes trees, because trees tend to grow depending on how we let them grow. Right. And the type of tree. And the type of tree that they're being selected. So we're being very careful about those selections as well with the landscape architects. So as you're seeing right now, it's showing a general idea for the multi-purpose with the lawn shelter and the library right next to it. As you guys notice, it's a very open concept where you can see everything from the inside to the outside. Trying to breathe as much as natural lighting, but more indirect than direct lighting.
It's still an overhang, so there's no direct sunlight.
There is no direct lights on it, it's indirect lights. And the multi-purpose is a two-story over half of the building. So two-story classrooms, the multi-purpose with half of the building two-story, and then the rest of it is one-story. Is there any questions that any member of the board has?
Two-story buildings, how many classes are in each tower?
It varies. On the east, there's I don't have the plans in front of me. I think it's 8 and 8, and then the west has, I believe, 6 on the first, and then 4 on the second, because there's other spaces as well, and there's extra restrooms.
And there's, in one of the buildings, there's extra restrooms to accommodate.
The west building.
So the building that was created without any restrooms. But one of the design features is every floor has at least 2 restrooms for students and 1 for staff. It's not 2. It's 2 for staff.
2 per staff for unisex, and then we have an additional one on the exterior of the building, leading directly to the playground areas for staff, so they don't have to go inside the building.
And that's more for the staff that are housed in the building without any restrooms.
And that was a
Design.
part of the design request during some of the stakeholder meetings. Any other questions?
I have some questions, not for the architect.
Oh.
So you can do your thing. What's the enrollment?
The enrollment right now
Yeah, that's cool.
is around 1,050, I believe.
1,050. Now, it's my understanding that Oswald is the newest elementary school in the district. Is that true?
Yeah, this,
How were they chosen to be made so beautiful over the others?
This is actually, it has to be around 30 years old because this is a portable school. This school doesn't have any stick and mortar built except for
They're
the
all
one that was
portable,
created. So all the other schools, they have some portables, but they have some brick and mortar buildings. So that was the reason why there's a life expectancy for a portable and pretty much reaching it, so it needs to be redone.
I have a general idea, but exactly where is Oswald located?
Oswald is the street, it's a city of Walnut, the Shadow.
Shadow.
Is that off Wendy Road?
No, it's over by Nogales High School,
Yeah.
just past Nogales High School, and then
Oh, I
to
know.
the east.
I know where now. Shadow.
Okay.
So,
And when this was chosen, it was chosen back when they went out to bond, and it basically said, this bond we're going out for, and this is something we're going to do. And this is one of the projects. Actually, 2 of the bonds, they highlighted Oswald. One for a science building, and then one for redoing it. So sometimes the work is chosen before you go out to the bond to get approval for the one of the things too, talking about wrapping up this Oswald project is, and consultants, it brings back some of the questions. You guys have some great questions tonight, like always. Okay.
okay, we know Nogales is the color, I'm talking about outside color. Nogales is like green, right? Green and beige, right?
Well, we have a district standard on colors, and for the most part, that was one of the things. The first time they came with some colors, we said no. Let's use our district standards in colors.
So what's our color?
So we have like a Navajo with.
Navajo white, I believe the accent colors are blue switch.
So what they incorporated was, well, the first design was completely different with colors. It was nothing like that. So what we did is we said, no, we need to use our district colors because longevity and when we buy by bulk our paint, you know, specify the same paint. So we have district colors, that's why we incorporate. What we've done in this case, we've allowed them to go ahead and incorporate some of the school colors. So some of the school colors are red, yellow, so that's why you see some reds in there. Yellows, I don't think we're taking out because of the color, right?
Brown.
And white. So those are the colors that, or like if you look at the logos, that's what they have. So that's what they use. The gray and the other color, that's been like what accents and what looks good with it. So that's what their discretion has been to use. So, and here's like with color, it's just like with like fashion. What you don't like is what someone else loves, and what someone loves, someone doesn't dislike. So when it comes to things like school that we had to repaint, and we wanted to make sure it was in standard, because it was different, like was it green and what's the blue, because that's the district standard. Or was it Hurley, or was it?
I think it was Hurley.
Hurley was green, and we went to the blue, right?
Right, and so was Walker. Walker was green as well, and we painted that.
What we've been trying to do the past few years is try to standardize things here at the district, so that we have our district standards
They're showing this, show the color different.
from.
And the real color is gonna be different in that too, because
So
these
what's the red color?
well, it's the blue and the tans, but these are representations of it. So until you actually get the samples during construction, you're not gonna see an actual paint color.
Do we use,
It's the same like our logo, like our IS district, we use blue, right? It's not blue and light blue.
well, to be quite honest with you, the color code that we give it is the Dun Edwards, right? So we use the Dun Edwards, and it's like Navajo white, which is the code, and that's what will be used. Because that will be that will be like when a bid goes out, this is the color, this is the paint. It's all the specifics that we require to use.
Navajo white includes
Is the blues and the
Yeah, those are
the main
accent
wall.
colors, so those are all accent.
There's
The
a,
majority of
there's
the
a
colors are
Dun
Navajo.
Edwards in the Point Post Mall, in the parking lot.
Well, I mean, yeah.
If you wanted to see the actual colors, I'm sure that they have the spreadsheet.
So, but again, it's more incorporate more of our district standards when it comes to these colors, and there's some accent terms.
If you put the same presentation on your laptop or any other computer, it's gonna look different. Every computer is gonna give you a different view based on the quality of that screen monitor. So it's really hard to get the exact color, even if we put it into the presentation. When we present it, it comes out different.
So to wrap up the question that I had with but the consultant question that someone asked earlier, I just wanted to share. There's the sound, the acoustical engineer consultant that's been hired for this project also. If you look at the NPR, there's sound walls on the side, there's acoustic ceiling on top so that we can have some good acoustics there. I mean, multi-purpose room has a lot of different functions. But just the example he can offer of itself, Marcos has been working diligently from some of those focus group meetings about the sound in the building that was built there before without the restrooms. There's no rooftop, there's no hard top. So there's a lot of echo, there's some sound, and teachers feel it's very difficult to teach because of sound. So what Marcos has been working, has been actually with Marshall Long engineering, to actually find a solution. And actually we had tentatively, Marcos had set up a tentative, one of the classrooms to be mocked up and corrected with this possible solution by the end of this month. And unfortunately there was an issue with one of the consultants with a family member who was sick, But within a few weeks, we're going to have that set up so that the teachers can actually go and see and feel how it sounds so that we can apply that to that whole building. And that's going to happen because, we want to make sure it's a good quality environment for our kids to learn. And that's what this is all about. It's in the classroom, making sure that it's quality. So, and that's where the emphasis is put in. And I just want you to be aware of that.
I think that's important.
Yeah. Marcus, that was correct with that. The status is probably a few weeks away.
Yes.
Okay.
Next is the construction management interviews. I wanted to say thank you to Rosanna. Oh my goodness. And for the construction management firm for this project, Rosanna and Josefina and Alex set up the 2 conference rooms in the back of the portables. We interviewed 7 different firms that day. Each firm got 45 minutes to talk and present their bid. We were literally running from room to room to room because they do talk a lot. So we were just from room to room to room, and she was 2 steps ahead to make sure we had all the materials for all of the bids. Some of those bids were 80 pages long, and just, I think we took a total of 12 minutes for lunch. And it just went back and forth. So I was there to see that. It was myself, Alex, the principal from Oswalt, somebody representing facility management, and John Friedman. And then we powwowed to come up with a ranking of people to present to the board, so the board could have the final say of who got the contract.
And you guys may be wondering, because Marcos is the most qualified person in our district when it comes to construction. And he's very impressive, probably knows more than some people that come and make presentations when it comes to DSA. But I don't want Marcos to be in the meetings or for any potential conflict of interest, because he's worked with different individuals. So we wanted to make sure that, you know, he was separated from it. Sometimes people just, they say things to say things, and we just don't want people just to, you know.
So that you know.
They don't, you know. So that's the reason why Marcos was not mentioned with it. And I just want you to know also, the reason why we hired quickly, we asked the board to do that, and the board was 100% supportive of it, was to get them on board as soon as possible to help us with this construction. And so just to let you know, right now, well, we don't see a lot of stuff. We see pretty pictures, and we see a lot of things, and we all gravitate to the color. But the thing is, what's underneath the ground and in the walls is what makes and breaks the project. So right now, Russ and his team have been 100% concentrating on underground utilities and working to make sure that everything that's down there below is going to work for what's projected to be built there in the future. And also we're getting copies of designs, to take a look at designs to see what can be, is this right, is this wrong, does this work, does it not work? Here are some suggestions also. And again, I don't want to be shy, but there was 1,500 corrections that Russ and Larry found at the Roland project that avoided any change orders, 1, but number 2, to make sure the project was on schedule. So, and they came late into the project. This is almost at ground zero to do it. So, and it was as soon as the board awarded, I got a phone call like, hey, let's go, give me some stuff. I want to get going on this stuff. And so, and it's working out timing-wise, so everyone knows when this project Roland ends, that's when probably we'll be moving ground and starting construction at Oswald. So they'll be seamless, so that they just move their portable or their trailer to a different location. Do you want to add anything, Russ, on the work you've been doing, or Larry with?
I'm very familiar with the drawings now, like you mentioned right now, and it's my main focus right now is the underground. That's what I'm looking at. So, good place to start.
What's our budget higher than
That's within the budget, the total 50 million that's in there, that's part of it. There's 30 million for construction, 38 for construction, and 12 for soft costs. Yeah, it's
Within the budget, and a couple of the construction management companies, they were a little ridiculous. One wanted 2.9 million.
Oh, we're not going to go into detail.
Okay, yeah. And that was for us to empty out the campus. So no kids will be there when any, yeah. So, yeah, we listen to all of them and no problem.
That's a big question, right?
Yes, we do. So, like again, originally the budget was $30 million, and then it was brought up to $50 million. And I guess a good example, and actually Aubrey's going to talk about the financials. There was at one time $55 million that was budgeted for the Roland High School project. It's committed $52.4 million, so we know we're not going to use the full $55 million. So we already reduced it by $1 million to move that $1 million into the Oswald. And that's what we did with all the different projects. We're still going to do all the projects, but we're looking to focusing where we can actually have some cost savings to apply that. So we can apply it so that we can have enough money to do the Oswald project. And be quite honest with you, the $50 million will be pretty tight. It's going to be tight for that project. We're basically rebuilding the school, and we are correcting some issues that could have been avoided if the money would have been spent up front with like restrooms and in the science building that we created in the door. So I wish that answers that question for the budget. Every project has a budget, and that was shared at the facilities presentation. And I believe we gave a handout a few meetings in here also, but if you would like it in our copy, I can send her a copy. Does that count? How much the fees?
Yes.
They,
Based on the percentage.
no, it's a 1.6. I believe 1.6. It's public record because it was approved by the board. I would have to get the thing.
Okay, March 25th is a Monday. It is the annual California League of Bond Oversight Committee conference up in Sacramento. I would like to know who's interested in going this year.
Well, I know just,
Okay.
Josefina has reached out and that was interested
Um,
in. And then
Are you
we,
available, Denise?
No, March comes up in May.
It's in March.
I know, but I got one of them.
Oh, okay.
and we, Josefina reached out to all of the new members for the training, and I think, Gerald, you had a conflict and that was managed.
But I had a conflict, I had to decline. Initially, I
Yeah.
thought about it, but then I had to decline.
Oh,
And I was asked to see, because every time we've gone, we've been pretty impressed with the work you've done as a CBOC and the work the staff has done. I was requested to ask to see how we maybe could apply for a model CBOC because there's some presentations up there that are a little scary, and people come back really happy with the work that we're doing here. So, but there isn't anything where we can nominate ourselves or anything like that. It's more for, there's a press one, and there's a different one. So it's not like model, but I researched it like that.
thank you. Because that was, I can say from the previous ones that we have gotten to, the amount of data and the reporting that we get from the school district, the majority of the bond oversight committees in California do not get it. And they have to fight for it, and anything that we have ever asked for or asked for clarification or asking Josefina to bring something back for the next meeting, it's always been provided.
And we've had two CBOC members that come to the district office and spend the day shadowing Rosanna, asking questions, shadowing Addie, who does all the financials, and anyone, CBOC members are more than welcome to come and.
If you can, I do suggest you do it, because the process of how the bills get paid and how the county treasurer is involved and what's auditable and how many audits that just automatically happen. I was I learned a lot that day. I really did learn a lot. Down to every purchase order needs 3 to 4 signatures on it before it can move forward. So it's not just one person trying to push something through. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Madam President and to the board, tonight I just want to share with you the Roland High School New Edition financials as of January the 25th. As you noticed that there was original budget 54 million. Of that 54 million, 52.4 million is being committed. We have 38.4 million been spent, which leaves roughly about 15.5 million still unspent. Of that amount, we have contingency came to roughly 0.9%, which is of the budget. Committed again based on the expenditures and based on what came up to budget committee, 97.1% of the total budget, and the total expenditure came to 71.1% of the budget. So basically, again, like I stated earlier, we have a budget of 54 million. We committed, which we got actual POs for 52.4 million, and we actually spent 30.4. We left remaining of this particular project $15.5 million.
Any questions on the budget?
Same thing, it's good.
Okay, can I get a first for the receiving of the financial report for the measure of bond? Is that all? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now I'd like to open up the floor to anybody who had any questions, comments, concerns on the committee.
Always schedule a meeting in the library.
Yeah, we will, our next meeting will be at Roland High School, and I'll work with Larry to work with, to provide a room. And please make sure that it acts for an open meeting. I appreciate that. So the community members can come.
Anything else? Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'm second.
All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting called to adjournment at 8:05.